Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of LostinTranslationmon. This time we'll be covering Digimon Ghost Game episode 58, Pyramid. I'm May, and I'm joined by the lovely Chloe.
Hello.
And Quinn is away this week, but we'll have her thoughts on this week's episode next time. So that'll be exciting, but it means that we can't obviously do our overall ranking until we have Quinn's thoughts as well. Mm-hmm. So we'll have that called Quinn's Catch-Up, but Catch-Up is spelt with a Q, because yes. I do love my alliteration.
That's so good.
Yeah, sometimes my alliteration's a bit of a stretch. So yeah, Quinn's Catch-Up, Catch-Up, yeah, with a Q. No, I don't know how that would actually look or be spelled, but you get my idea. It's by Q.
I'm a fan. Anyway. Yeah. It'd be it's terrible to ever actually see, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be actually like Quinn's Quatch-Up. What about Quinn's quacking? I don't know. Is quacking a term for, like, talking? Because I know ducks quack.
I mean, if at all, I feel like it has negative connotations to it, but I also feel like it's not something that people say.
Quinn's cute quacking. Cute is also spelled with a Q. Anyway.
Okay, there we go.
Anyway, so before we start talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion, we'll go over the synopsis.
Oh, but you know we're going to at some point.
Oh, we always go over Neon Genesis. Like, everything is always Evangelion. Like, the first time I went to Japan, I was super, super into Neon Genesis Evangelion. And there's all these photos of me, like, I was actually 14 when I went, so I was actually the age of the characters. And I thought that was super cool. So when I went there, there's like a bunch of photos of me looking really surly on public transport, because like I thought that it would like, I'd be like, this is like Evangelion. It was an Ava
reference, yeah.
Yeah, it was an Ava reference, but
that's so good.
You know, looking back on these photos, it just looks like I'm a really angry, like, white teenager who's just angry of being on holidays. So it doesn't look good, but trust me, I'm having the best time. I'm making my own Evangelion references.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting on like trains with like my iPod Nano in, like, the first gen iPod Nano, because it was like 2007. And I look very happy with myself, but being happy with myself internally, not externally. I look incredibly surly, and
that's really good.
They're just not good photos because I look angry, but I was having a good time, trust me. Anyway, so
in context, it's very cute, yeah.
Yeah, in context, it's great, but without context, I'm just an angry 14-year-old. Or so I look like one anyway. So anyway, synopsis. So this week we have Digimon having a spin on the old Sphinx that asks riddles and then does something evil to you if you don't get it right. And we don't actually have any characters actually attempt the riddle, which I kind of love. It's they're just kind of scared and horrified and confused by what's happening. Which is complete, like, no one's trying to answer the riddle because it's just a random person asking a riddle, and then you see the random person and it's a giant monster. Which you would definitely not pay attention to anything that's being said because you would be just terrified. So I'm a big fan of that. So no characters are able to guess the riddle or even attempt it, and are basically just turned into stone in the most horrific way. Like, they don't just turn into stone, like, stone bursts out of them.
Yeah, it was, I really liked that.
Yeah, I thought we were going to start killing humans again, but because it doesn't look like something that you can recover from.
Fortunately, you can recover from anything, if the plot allows it.
Except being, like, burnt to death. That one's pretty permanent.
I wouldn't be surprised, like, it is entirely plausible that they could have just unburned to ashes him at the end of the episode. I'm glad that they didn't, but I wouldn't have put it past them.
It's really like, I need to go through each episode and work out what like, if it was a casualty or just, like, a temporary inconvenience and what it was. Like, I know Digitamon, I'm pretty sure, just 8 people, and I don't think they came back. Yeah,
I believe you're right. We gotta figure out the Ghost Game body count.
Yeah, I feel like it's just, like, it's fairly low. But anyway.
But it's definitely not 0. Can that be said for any other, or, like, most of the other Digimon series? I haven't watched them.
Usually it's, like, one adult might die. And, like, in 02 we had one adult. In Tamers, it was kind of, like, it was before the events of the series. We just kind of know that a character died. Same with Frontier. So, Savers actually did have an adult die, but it's never like, it's always just one, and it's sometimes like off screen or just implied. But in any case, so Ghost Game has definitely got a higher body count than any other season in terms of human death.
We're at least in double digits. I doubt triple digits yet, but I am curious to know how far from triple digits we would be.
Well, surprisingly, we've had quite a few. But anyway, so we find out that Ancient Sphinxmon is building a pyramid using the stones made from people to summon Pharaohmon, and we find out about this from Mummymon, so we get all the similar sort of themed Digimon together in this episode, which is kind of nice. Then Hiro and Kyoshiro both get asked riddles, and I mean, Hiro at least notices that it's a riddle, but I was sort of expecting Kyoshiro to be able to guess the riddle because he's Kyoshiro, like he's meant to be the smart one, but no one actually gets any riddles right, which is, I guess, because kind of sometimes riddles are a little bit dumb, and I think that was like the moral of the story is that riddles are dumb, and they're ones that, like, in hindsight seem obvious, but when you're being asked them, don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's, the moral of the story is you're not obligated to engage with weirdos who come up to you and ask you riddles.
But you might be turned to stone.
You might be turned to stone.
You might. It's just a stoned guy asking you riddles.
Stoned.
That's the real life equivalent.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we have Ruli going into fight Ancient Sphinxmon. Ancient Sphinxmon is like, hey, I want you to be the final stone in the pyramid. And Ruli just fights, I guess, for a while. We have Lamortmon fighting, and then Ruli falls off Airdramon. Airdramon being attacked out of the air. I was more concerned about Airdramon. I'm sorry, Ruli, but I need to know, is Airdramon okay? Like, Ruli got rescued by Lamortmon. Like, nobody cared about Airdramon except for me. Then when we have Ruli getting her shoes taken, which is apparently the first step of being turned to stone. I don't know, I guess it sounded cool, but it just means that we have a bunch of shoes left behind. And Ancient Sphinxmon asks Ruli a riddle, and Lamortmon starts to say, hey Ruli, how about all these hobbies? And then they start yelling out their hobbies together. Lamortmon evolves in a pretty cool sequence. Then Dilbitmon, who is Lamortmon's megaform, starts fighting Ancient Sphinxmon. Ancient Sphinxmon is about to push Dilbitmon into like a portal into hell, I guess. And
the realm of death or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, or whatever. The vague portal of somethingness.
The vague enter this and you die place.
Yeah, it's very like, hey, this is just a portal. It goes somewhere probably, or maybe you die. Who knows? But it's definitely, you don't want to go in there. Then we have Dilbitmon kind of like push Ancient Sphinxmon in, and then looks kind of guilty that he's done that. And and the episode ends. Now that we've gone over the synopsis and spoken about me being a surly teenager because of Neon Genesis Evangelion or something, let's go over the discussion of this week's episode. So what are our highlights this week?
So last week I had predicted that we're just doing Other Side Picnic this week, and while we weren't exactly doing Other Side Picnic, we weren't not doing Other Side Picnic either. Having just weird structures floating out in a place, and arbitrary rules that if you don't follow lead to death. That's fairly Other Side Picnic, so I was a fan of that. Also, really playing the piano really well was excellent. And here comes the obligatory Ava, because it was very reminiscent of Shinji and Kaoru's homoerotic duet.
Yeah.
And there was even, right after that, a character named Kaoru. Like, this episode was just made for me.
And also, the pyramid was just kind of a little bit reminding me of the Geofront, like the giant pyramid.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're called, the Geofront. I don't know. I just know there's a giant pyramid in Evangelion.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I'm admittedly a little not unclear on what exactly that's called.
It's a pyramid. It's just a big triangle thing.
The thing. But go ahead.
I was just going to say, I like that Mummymon, I mentioned in the synopsis go over, but I do like that Mummymon was relevant because Egyptian themed, so that was kind of cool. I appreciated that.
I really liked the bursting into pillars thing. I thought that was really sick. I honestly kind of wish they had just stayed as these weird, like, pillar piles instead of turning into like solid slabs of stone. But it was still cool for a bit at least.
It was a cool effect. It was definitely a cool effect, I still think that like it looked painful. Like the guy who gets like the first guy at the start of the episode who gets just turned to stone.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's having a bad time. It looks incredibly painful.
Yeah. That was another vaguely Other Side Picnic thing.
Yeah.
I was also really happy that we got a Ruli episode where she had agency in the plot. She was not the damsel in distress. She was like the last line of defense. That was cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I like how we have some actual character from both her and Angoramon. We have Ruli explaining why she still plays piano, but she doesn't like go to recitals, even though she's really good at it, because it's not what she doesn't enjoy the recitals. She enjoys just playing, just for her. Mm-hmm. And that was a really nice like insight into her character, that like just because you do something doesn't mean you have to do like and enjoy doing something and you're good at doing the thing doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do it professionally or do it for an audience. She just does it for herself, and also Angoramon, who enjoys the piano playing. So I like those insights.
Yep. Also, mark this occasion on your calendars and never forget it, because this is probably the only time you will ever hear me say, wow, that was a pretty cool evolution sequence.
Yeah, I'm really loving what they're doing. I mean, I know we've only seen the 2 evolution sequences so far, but I really appreciate how well animated they are. I like the fact that it almost kind of brings in the human partner as well, which you don't really typically see. Maybe you see them at the start, but not like during, just like thrown into the air as the Digimon just kind of is a ball of energy. I feel like that's a really cool effect.
Uh-huh.
And it looks really neat, and I like that while they're not physically becoming the Digimon like in other seasons, we have them still participate in the evolution sequence, in like the actual battle, and that's, I guess, shown because the Digivice is sort of what's connecting them to their Digimon, so they're a little bit more connected than previous seasons because they have a physical object tying them to each other that's not just like vague fate and destiny and magic.
Mm-hmm.
It's just tech. I like that. I like how it makes sense that it shouldn't necessarily have to be a magic, fate-based or destiny-based tie.
Yeah. Because
it's the digital world and it revolves around tech. So tech should be able to replace the ties of destiny. And I don't know. I like Ghost Game.
Yeah. It's fun. I also liked that it was a kind of blink and you miss it thing, but the new evolution sequence had some very Lance of Longinus looking weapons in it.
Oh yeah.
So, you know.
I just liked how it was animated. I also, another highlight of mine is that I like that we have Angoramon's Megaform looking guilty when Ancient Sphinxmon died, in a similar sort of way that we had Simbar Angoramon killing Digitamamon and looking guilty about it. I do appreciate that he seems to have some kind of guilt.
He was guilty about killing Digitamamon because Digitamamon used to be his friend, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure, at least I'm pretty sure that, he's killed others and not really felt that bad about it. I'm like 90% sure on that, though. I'm not 100% sure that that's actually happened.
I think he's always been kind of like a, let's try to reason with them and not try to kill them, and he was even like that. I mean, Digitamon was his friend, yes, but he still he doesn't seem to want to resort to violence. But Lamormon, on the other hand, does resort to violence. So it's kind of interesting that we went from like gentleman dude, likes drinking tea, doesn't want to fight, wants to talk it out, to just monster
rage monster
will just wants to murder everything and everyone and needs to be kind of told off by Ruli whenever he looks like he's about to just go berserk. Mm-hmm. In a very Evangelion kind of like, oh, Ava Unit 1's going berserk, kind of way.
Yeah.
And now we just have Gentleman again. It feels like kind of a weird jump from, like, Gentleman to Monster back to Gentleman again. And speaking of which, like, Dilbert is just a dude.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, I think he's a cool design. On its own, he's a cool... I like him. I think he's cool. He fits Ruli because Ruli likes swordsman novels, and that's one of the things that Angoramon actually shouted out. It was like the second one, like after Piano. It was like, Piano, swordsman novels. And then he becomes like this gentleman
he
swordsman.
He weebs kind of... so hard, he evolves.
Yeah.
It's really good.
What if that is... what if that is what motivated him? And usually he's just like a fluffy is bunny kind of dude, and it's just like he's so motivated by these swordsman novels, he just becomes a dude.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, I'm not a fan of this being an evolution for Angoramon, but on its own, I think it's a cool evolution. Like it looks cool, but I feel like I liked Lamontmon being kind of uncontrollable and goes berserk. I don't know why we just went to just a dude, and he's just a human.
Yeah.
Like, he's got, like, a human kind of face, and I'm not a big fan.
Just kind of got a rabbit mask.
Yeah, he's just kind of, like, is dude. Like, that's what he is, but I do like the design overall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other highlights?
I think we hit all of mine.
Okay, lowlight time. What were our lowlights?
So, I feel a little pedantic for this one, but when Gamamon was rushing to Angoramon and was like, it was a Digimon, and Angoramon's like, a Digimon? And it's like, literally, come on, what else would it ever be? You've got to stop being so surprised by this.
Yeah, the show is called Digimon, and every, like, episode, the Mon of the Week is a Mon of the Week, a Digimon of the Week, if you will.
Yeah, has the weird phenomenon ever not been a Digimon? Like, you got to stop being so surprised.
This happens a lot in Digimon. Like, there was, I think it's in the Digimon movie, where they just find a Digimon, and they're like, hey, look, it's a Digimon! And then the character's like, a Digimon? Like, they're so confused by the existence of a Digimon, despite them themselves being Digimon, and consistently seeing Digimon, and they're on the path to find a Digimon. It is always kind of like, well, of course, like, and this happens every week for Ghost Game, I feel. Like, a Digimon's causing this. Oh, no way, a Digimon? Really? Like, they just consistently seem very surprised that Digimon are the cause of these issues that they're having every week. I have two lowlights, which aren't really lowlights about the episode, but what?
So, I'm sorry. Yumi has a Q-tip, and she is going just bonkers with it.
Are you sure Yumi's not a Digimon?
She's like tossing it around the room from her mouth. Oh my god. It's just a Q-tip.
Or is it a cute tip?
It's become a cute tip. Okay, sorry for the interruption.
Anyway, so I have, no worries, and if this was an episode of Digimon, it'd be like, no, that's not Yumi, that's a Digimon! And you'd be like,
a Digimon?
What is that? Anyway, so I do have two lowlights, but again, they're not necessarily lowlights about the episode, about what it did. It's about what I was kind of expecting to happen, which I can't really fault an episode for not doing something I expected, because I didn't write it, so whatever. But anyway, and these 2 points are... One, I was kind of hoping that Ruli was able to control and evolve Jellymon and Gamamon too, because we've done it twice, and just with Jellymon.
Have we done it twice?
I mean, Ruli was able to control Jellymon once, and then Hero was able to control Jellymon.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the time that Hero did that. Okay.
Yeah, in the Curly episode with Calmaramon, who doesn't like straight things.
Yep. That's right.
So I wonder why we showed that we could do that. Like, why was that a mechanic when it's only been relevant twice, and they don't always use it when they can? Like, this would have been a great chance to use it, but really doesn't even try to do it at all. And we don't have Kyosho, we don't have Hero, so we just have two child-level Digimon fighting when we know that they should be able to evolve with Ruli standing there. At least Jellymon should, because she's been able to be evolved by Ruli before. So that felt kind of like, not so much like something that was wrong with the episode, but it felt like a missed opportunity to just expand on that a little bit more, because it's happened twice, which means that it is possible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
At the same time, I guess I'm kind of glad that they don't do it every time that we have someone unable to use their Digimon, and just, have someone else do it for them.
Yeah, but we've done it twice in 58 episodes. Like, I'd like to at least do it as a sometimes thing, especially when the rest of the cast are being turned to stone or whatever.
Yeah,
so...
well, but I think the difference was in this case, Angoramon was still available. It's not like she couldn't use Angoramon and had to use Jellymon. She was gonna stick with her buddy,
Oh, yeah, that is true. Like, both times we've had it just being Ruli and Jellymon, and then the next time Gammamon had lost his temper with Hiro because they were fighting over who bit the tablet. And I get Gammamon wasn't around, so I guess that makes sense. Like, they can't just say, hey, I need to get someone to evolve. But still, I just want it to happen again, but that is a good point. My next point is that I was kind of expecting it to be another battle of wits or like a riddle battle kind of thing, rather than Angoramon just saying things it really likes to motivate her to just not die. It felt like at no point did really feel look like she was going to die and she was just giving in to dying or anything. But her line of being something along the lines of I have so many hobbies that I want to experience, so I don't want to die yet. It feels like, where did this, were you feeling like you were dying before? I mean, I know you were about to be turned to stone, but...
Yeah, I think that would qualify as being killed.
Yeah, but she hadn't... There wasn't, a moment of, oh, I should just give up. And I felt like that line usually comes after just giving up. But she doesn't even attempt the riddle, she doesn't even think about it, and Angoramon just starts yelling things that she likes, and then she's like, hey, I'm motivated to not die. But it wasn't even relevant to the riddle at all. It just felt like what was expected. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It was just okay, they had a motivational, hey, you have so much to live for, here are some things you like, and we're saying them together because we're a team kind of moment that we get a lot in Digimon. So, and it wasn't done necessarily badly. It was I think it was done quite well, but it didn't really stand out as anything unique. It didn't feel like we were doing anything special that we haven't done before. It just felt like, oh, we're just doing an evolution episode. And again, it did it well, but it didn't do anything unique.
Yeah.
And that's basically it's kind of it's a low light of what could have been, which isn't neither of these things are true low lights, but I just felt like it could have been done better, but it was still done fine.
Yeah. My only low light was that, or my only other low light, rather, was that, literally, why even fight Ruli? Why not just immediately turn her into stone? She already, didn't answer the riddle twice, and we've seen him turn people to stones for less. And he apparently was one stone shy. It just seems like you really should have just not dropped the ball there, bud, sort of situation.
Yeah. It felt like he just didn't turn her turn her to stone after she couldn't solve the riddle because of plot. Yeah, to have it so that there could be a conflict, because otherwise it would have just been too easy of a win. He could have just turned her to stone and have been done with it, but he didn't because plot. He was distracted, I guess, from the battle, so that could be why he didn't just turn her to stone anyway. But no, that is a good point.
Yeah, so that's all I've got.
Yeah, that's all I've got as well. But overall, yeah, it's fine. It's not bad. This episode, it just wasn't fantastic. So anyway, favorite character, who was yours?
Oh, really? Definitely.
That is completely fair. I actually went with Angoramon. I just liked how he had insight into his character, and the bit when we got insight about Ruli's character, Angoramon asked. So I felt like both of them had good characters this episode, which is good because sometimes they're just kind of left there as, hey, they're also here, they're also relevant, and I'm glad that we were able to temporarily kill off Hiro and Kiyoshiro so we could have them be characters. So that was good. So yeah, both valid choices. Next rating, I gave this episode a 3 out of 5. Just because it's fine. Again, it doesn't do anything incredible, at least to me. I wasn't, wowed by this episode. It looked amazing. I really enjoyed watching it. But it's not a standout episode. When I remember this episode, I'll be like, hey, this is the episode where Angoramon evolves. And I don't think I'll really... And maybe, the body horror. But that's in most episode of Ghost Games. I can say, hey, that episode had body horror. Even the episodes I didn't like were hey... Body horror. That's cool.
Yeah, most of the time it's a, do you even realize how little that narrows it down sort of situation.
Yeah, it does. I think that I'm fairly certain that most episodes, if not all, have body horror. So that's something that I guess really wouldn't separate any episodes out or any characters out from an episode. But yeah, I don't feel like this episode had anything that was stand out is the word. It didn't stand out much. So it was enjoyable. And I'm sorry if you can hear the chicken in the background again. It is... I was just thinking before we started the podcast, hey, I haven't heard the chicken for a while. And the chicken must be psychic.
Yeah.
Or the rooster or whatever it is. But I was just thinking, gee, that rooster / chicken or Digimon probably, whatever it is.
Digimon?
Digimon? Yumi's friend in Australia, the rooster. And it's just going nuts right now. It's like going every 10 seconds. That poor rooster. I'm concerned. That doesn't seem like... No, it's also like it's not early morning. It is 2:46 in the afternoon. That's not what roosters should be doing. Anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, 3 out of 5. It's not a standout episode, but it's not necessarily lackluster either. It doesn't have anything that I really hate. It doesn't do anything badly. It does a few things well, or just okay. So, yeah, 3 out of 5. Chloe, Fair. What did you give this out of 5?
I probably am going to be scoring higher than most on this one. I gave it a 4.5.
That's also valid. Like, it did look good. Like,
yeah, I liked it a lot, and I think the one thing that I really liked about this one that, like, really gave it, like, a big points boost was that it was a Ruli episode where Ruli had agency. And there's, like, so, like, I remember on maybe not every, but many Ruli-focused episodes being like, okay, yeah, cool, she's the damsel in distress, got herself into a pinch again. And
yeah, no, that's fair. That is a really, really good point. Mm-hmm. Like, even in an episode where I thought it was a Ruli episode, the Vamdemon one, where they went to the Crimson Banquet, I think it was called, that ended up being a hero episode for some reason, which is still just like... That feels wrong to me. It was definitely a Ruli episode until Hero showed up to rescue Ruli and then just got an evolution. So that's still something that's surprising. Mm-hmm. In any case, ranking, because we can't do our overall ranking because we need Quinn for that, so we'll have that in Quinn's quacking / quatchup. I don't know. My ranking is in 36th place, which, yes, that sounds very low, but you've got to remember, I have given, like,
entirely too many 5s.
And there's quite a few 4s, too, so I believe this is at the top of my 3s, at 36th place, because I've also, guess what, given a lot of 3s, so, yeah, it's going to be in 36th place, which is... I guess in the low half, but that doesn't mean I didn't like it. I still liked this episode. I just gave too many 4s and 5s.
Well, it's only in the lower half of episodes so far. If there's enough episodes, it might not be in the lower half eventually.
That is true. And overall, I think I'm just enjoying Ghost Games. So a 36th place in a series that I like is not that bad. At all. Like, I'm enjoying Ghost Game overall. There's only been a few episodes where I've just been like, this is bad. So I'm fairly positive. So where are you putting this episode in your ranking, Chloe?
It ended up in 14th place on mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that is...
Towards the top of my 4.5s. I'm not 100% positive if it's my top 4.5 or not.
Yeah, so that's between Bakaneko and Who Are You, right?
Yes, above Who Are You, below Bakaneko.
Coolios. So overall, this episode did pretty well. Even though mine was a 3, it's a... I give a lot of 4s and 5s, so that's fine. Any miscellaneous thoughts or about things we haven't mentioned or forgot to mention or just thinking about now?
I did have a miscellaneous thought, actually.
Yep.
So, what do we mean when we say that this Digimon has existed since ancient times? Like, does that imply that some Digimon predate electronics, or is it like the ancient past of the mid-1900s?
Yeah. Okay, so ancient Digimon do exist. They are from Digimon Frontier, and they exist in like an ancient version of the digital world, which, as far as I'm aware, I might be wrong here, Digimon lore is surprisingly not my strong suit. There's a lot of it, but I only know like little like smidgens.
I don't believe you.
But as far no, there is a lot of lore. So there is like this ancient time, which was in Digimon Frontier, where a bunch of Digimon existed and were these ancient warriors, and they were the kind of like the main part of the backstory to Digimon Frontier. And as far as I'm aware, there's no like set time where they come from. All it said is like they're from an ancient time in the digital world, which again, the time in the digital world in many seasons moves a lot faster than the human world. Like, it could be a year in the digital world and maybe only a few minutes in the human world. Like, time moves really quickly. So the ancient time might be like thousands and thousands of years, but very well could just be the start of technology in
like
the human world.
1960.
Yeah, so it could be the start of when we had, like, the ARPANET, or, like, you know, the precursor to the internet, like, very early versions of the internet and very early versions of technology. So that being, like, I was going to say 40 years, but that's not, like, the 60s aren't 40 years ago, they're 60 years ago somehow. Do not ask your friends who were born in 1993 how they're feeling about the year being 2023, because they are realizing that they are turning 30, or they are entering their 30s. They can no longer pick things up without screaming. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be my 29th in a bit here.
So you're enjoying the end
feeling.
of your 20s.
Yep.
Yeah, it is like, wow, I'm kind of an adult now, and you look back and, like, all the adults I've ever met who are, like, younger than me or my age, just, like, they felt like they had so much going on, but I don't. It's anyway, aging is scary. Anyway, so the ancient times very well could have been just, like, 60 years ago in the real world, but, you know, many, many thousands of years in the digital world. So that could be mainly where it comes from. But yeah, there's probably more lore there that I'm just not aware of. But yeah, I think there are 10 ancient Digimon for each element. So we've got ancient Irismon, who's wind, ancient Mermaidmon, who is water, and ancient Sphinxmon is darkness. And of course, the fire and light ones are ancient Greymon and ancient Garurumon, because of course they are, because they're Greymon and Garurumon, the main characters.
Yeah, of course.
So there's some lore there, but as far as I'm aware, there's not like a set time. But if I had to guess, it'd be like the start of technology, which would very much equate to many, 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 many thousands of years, maybe even millions, depending on what the exact conversion rate is there. But yes, that is cool. I do like when we get into a little bit of lore, I guess. And yeah, I don't really have any other thoughts about this episode. What about yourself?
My last miscellaneous thought was that when I saw the new outro, I just thought, there's not going to be another one as good as Monster Disco. They should just stop trying and bring Monster Disco back, please.
I mean, this one was good. This outro was pretty good, but
it was
Monster
fine.
Disco is still my favorite.
But yeah, like,
I liked
the recent outros have all just felt really samey to me. Like, they don't really have much, like, character to them, which is a nonsense statement, but
I like the art. The art is good. Like, the images that we see are always very cute, and we get a lot of nice images in the outros, but again, they peaked at Monster Disco.
Yeah.
I don't think they can top Monster Disco at this point.
I hope to be pleasantly surprised, but Monster Disco has taken the cake so far. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, I will never complain to have a new favorite take over, but Monster Disco, come on, that was just it was just so funky.
It was.
I listen to it sometimes on the way to work, and I'm like, yeah, ready to start my even though it's an ending song, it feels very much like a start song.
Yeah. It's the start of a good time.
It is. It's always a start. It's just a fun kind of, like, it has, like, you know, the thunder and the laughter. It's creepy, but it's also funky. It perfectly describes Digimon Ghost Game. Time for Pondering, Postmon, Pat, and predictions. So let's go and look at the YouTube comments for episode 57, which was 2 weeks ago. So first of all, we have Duxio, who says they really loved episode 57. Seeing Gulas glaring at Lilithmon for a moment before receding to let Gammon continue saving Kotaro was really tense. And about Kotaro, the only thing they'd say in defense of him is that he did try to say that he couldn't drive, but they forced him to enter the address, so he couldn't even drive them in circles. And yeah, I mean, like, I'm at least happy that we got to, like, every time he's kind of being a little bit creepy, he gets punished for it, at least at this point. Next, we have Cannoli, who says that while it wasn't the Christmas episode that they would have expected, they really liked the episode. Their favourite character moment was definitely Lamontmon shaking his head so aggressively after Thetismon cured everybody. And yeah, I love Lamontmon. I'm hoping that we still get to see Lamontmon a little bit more now that we've got his mega form in. But yeah, who's to say? Next, we have Daniel Smith, who says that Hero's dad being straight up dead would be an extra spicy plot point, especially for this kind of show. They actually don't know who we're referring to about when he was dead all along, but it reminds them of Metal Gear Solid games, and there was a character who wasn't actually a character, it was the big boss all along or something. So just for a recap, Chloe, there is a recent thing that came out, and you kind of go to look for this person, and it's then revealed that the person has been replaced by, like, an AI robot, and it's not actually them. They actually died, like, quite a bit ago. But I'm not saying what it is because it's so recent, and it's something that I can imagine. It's I'm not even saying if it's I can't remember if I said it was a game or a TV show or something, but I'm not gonna say because
I can't even remember if you specified.
No, because it was when we were recording separate. That's why I'm sort of So yeah, it is something that I kind of assume that people who are listening to this might be consuming, and it's been a few months since it came out, but I still don't want to spoil it. But anyway, it's something where I'm expecting that Hiro's dad, they end up finding him, but it's not actually him, he's been replaced, is basically, just to summarize.
That'd be cool.
At least that's my theory. We do know that in an upcoming TCG set, there is a card for Hiro's dad. So in the card game,
he's a Digimon.
No. So all the humans do get cards.
Lame.
They get what it's called a tamer card, which I guess is like a Planeswalker, an MTG, or a trainer card in the Pokemon card game.
There are trainer cards? Okay.
I think so. I don't actually play the Pokemon card game. I just think I've seen trainer cards, so I'm not 100% sure there. But it's kind of like isn't a Digimon, you kind of can cast it, and it does, like, it stays on the battlefield and does effects. It's a Planeswalker, basically, from Magic the Gathering. So we do know the Hero's dad does get one of those, which, are usually given to people who are
alive and not
alive.
Digighosts.
No, not necessarily alive, because characters from Digimon Tri also got them that do die. But they have Digimon, or at least they are characters. So I'm wondering if that means anything that he's getting a trainer card or tamer card rather, because no other adults have unless they have Digimon of their own. So that's kind of interesting. Next we have user ZP, who says seeing any of the 7 Deadly Sin Digimon is always really cool, and they wish they got more Lilithmon in episode 57. Their presence in this episode felt very sinister, and that they're saying that they hope that she does come back to team up with Gulaskammon in future episodes. Maybe the other Sins would show up later on, since Lucamon is in the intro. And yeah, that is a good point. We do see Lucamon in the start, but I think it was said very early on that the Digimon appearing in the start could just be Digimon that were just picked because they looked cool, and they won't be ones that actually show up.
They just fit the vibe.
They just fit the vibe. Next we have KG James, who says it'd be awesome if Lilithmon recruited Gulaskammon and then Jellymon and Angoramon had to evolve again to stop them. Then we have Lazy Crocono, who says they did enjoy the episode a lot, and they did enjoy Lilithmon, but they wish that she didn't just call it quits that easy. And let's face it, Gulas is an edgelord who will say, I won't take orders by you, and end up betraying her or not joining her at all. And that is completely fair. Like, I guess, like, Gulaskammon is kind of like his own kind of wild card, lone wolf kind of thing. Like, Lilithmon will be like, okay, join my team. And he'd be like, how about you join my team? And that's something I love about Gulaskammon anyway. Then they say that the next episode, so this episode that we just talked about, is looking cool. They hope that it focuses on Ruli. It does. Yeah. And maybe we'll get an evolution. We do.
I was surprised, though. I wasn't expecting an evolution this week.
Especially because Angoramon and Lazy Croconaw does make this point that normally Angoramon evolves kind of late, but it feels like not so much. And maybe we'll get Jellymon next week, because we're just kind of, I guess, feeling like we're wrapping up the show, which is kind of cool.
Do we normally not get these evolutions until we're about to wrap up?
For Mega, typically Mega is left at the very end, but I'm also saying that it feels like we're getting, like, rapid-fire plot and evolution episodes, which in Ghost Game there was kind of like a big gap of filler between all the adults and then all the perfect levels. So it just feels like it's starting to wrap up, or at least we're getting to a point where we're getting to Mega.
I can see that.
Anyway, next we have Allison, who says that they drew Bastemon and Maycrackmon Vicious Mode as 2 of the most beautiful, attractive, and alluring characters. And there's just a lot of synonyms for alluring and heavenly gorgeous. So I'm going to use that list when I describe Chloe and Quinn, I guess, next week, that this franchise has ever seen. But when it was Lilithmon's turn, they just make her look less alluring. We don't have, like, the big breasts like we have with Lilithmon in Cross Wars. The Ghost Game producers made their preferences clear in the latest episode. P.S. I'm not a furry. I get what they mean. Like, they definitely made her, like, kind of more, like, she's not just this sensual thing, she's also kind of classy. I still would really like a dub of Ghost Game where she's voiced by Jennifer Coolidge. Like, oh my god, look at these Digi-Destined. Like, it would fit so well, especially, like, I am on a Jennifer Coolidge, like, kick at the moment. She's fantastic. Yeah, she's in so many things lately, and it's just kind of wonderful. So at the very least, we should have, like, a Jennifer Coolidge, like, impersonator, like how we have Christopher Walken Ice Devimon, who's actually not voiced by Christopher Walken, but it's definitely an impression, like, oh my god, Gamamon, you should join my team. Like, it would fit so, like, she'd be perfect. Like, just what, please. Like, these Digimon, they're really getting to me, you know? Like, it would be perfect. Anyway, I've been on
You're
this
having
Jennifer Coolidge thing.
Quite the time.
It's very warm in here, so I'm probably just also dying, and becoming Jennifer Coolidge, apparently. Anyway, next up we have Geozaga, who says that they liked episode 57, 5 out of 5, but the main bad this episode was really well written, and she felt classy and dominating in this episode with how she commanded her partner and Kotaro. Great atmosphere with her, and the battle was great. Super agree. They said they also don't like Kotaro, but the criticism that we gave seemed a bit too much. He couldn't really try to slow her down since he had to put the address for the car to self-drive there. He was calling girls his own age beautiful angels, and we were doing the same thing with Lilithmon. Yeah, that is a good point. Like, it did feel less like he was as creepy as he's been in previous episodes. Like, he was at least, like, he was just calling them angels, I guess.
Still don't do that. Like, that's kind of weird.
To be fair, I call Y'all angels. So, like, I say that Y'all are beautiful, so maybe it's... So I do see Geosaga's point here.
Maybe.
But, and it also, it did kind of progress the plot of the episode, so I understand. Then lastly we have Luke, who says that they hope they get to see Gillis Gamamon get his ass kicked by stronger evil Digimon, and then get really annoyed, and then evolve himself into his perfect form. And yeah, that would be cool. I'm wondering if that's what we'll have. Like, it'll be like a moment where Gillis Gamamon isn't able to fight anything, which is fair because he's an adult and we're now having very strong mega forms show up. So I'm kind of expecting that to be a thing. And that's it for Postmon. Pat, do we have any thoughts about how the series is going so far?
Nah, not really.
Yeah, I think I already said my bit about how it feels like we're kind of getting into, like... Yeah, it feels like we're winding down for the series because we are getting quite a few, like, plot or non-filler episodes in the last, like, little chunk, which for an episodic show would mean that we are wrapping up. Like, Atmon was the same. Atmon was fairly episodic. A lot of the episodes were just kind of Mon of the Week. Same with Young Hunters. We get, like, Mon of the Week, and then all of a sudden in the last, like, chunk of episodes, we are continuously fighting the big bad, or we're working towards the big bad, or we're getting our end of game evolutions in. So I definitely feel like at this point we are wrapping up, or at least it feels to be that way. And I guess moving on to our next discussion topic, predictions for next episode, episode 59, Jiraiya. I'm thinking that this will be a Jellymon episode.
Yeah.
Based on the preview we get. It seems to be Kyoshiro looks like he's having a bad time. Jellymon looks really upset. I'm wondering if this will be another evolution episode to continue, like, this trend of, like, we're just getting the evolutions out so we can go to do some plot, because at this point it's not too much of a spoiler if I say this, but Gamamon does have multiple megaforms.
Wow, spoilers.
Yeah, but we kind of have known that for a few months since we got the growth chart for Gamamon. So,
well, yeah, but some of us don't care about Digimon and don't read the growth charts.
That's fair. I didn't say how many, and I didn't say, like, what they looked like, but we just know there is more than one.
Okay.
So we do have more evolutions to get
Gotcha.
But not for Jellymon and Angoramon. So we just get Jellymon's evolution out of the way, and then we can get like with the plot, which is Gamamon's evolutions and why Gamamon is like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have any predictions for next week's episode?
Yeah, I wrote 3 things. The first one is frog with spaces between each letter. The next one is Jellymon New Evo, ? And the third is plot, ? And then in parentheses, another question mark.
That is fair.
Those are my predictions.
The frog looks like Shogun Gekomon / Tonosama Gekomon. I think at least.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I know there's more to it, but my brain is just like, that's a Naruto reference.
It's like Kaiser is Japanese for emperor.
Yeah.
That is a Digimon reference, the Kaiser in World War One. But anyway, I'm wondering if it'll be like we'll get another new Digimon, like evolving from an old Digimon, like Tonosama Gekomon's been around forever. I'm wondering if we get him evolving into a new Digimon, which we haven't seen yet or hasn't been given a name yet, and he just exists as this new Digimon, and that's the Mon of the Week. On the basis that if Tonosama Gekomon is the Mon of the Week, it would feel kind of weird to get an evolution to Mega to defeat a perfect level. That feels like a little bit of overkill. So I'm wondering if we'll get, like, either he's not the Mon of the Week, or we'll get, like, a new Digimon evolving from this fairly old Digimon. I'm always here for new Digimon evolving from old Digimon, though. That's like my favourite thing in the world.
It's an easy way to get a 5 out of 5 from an episode from Air.
Basically, because we have, like, it starts Otamamon, who is a tadpole, evolves to Gekomon, who is kind of like a frog, but also a gecko, and then evolves to Tonosama Gekomon / Shogun Gekomon. So I kind of like, I'm wondering if we finally get to complete that evolution path by giving him like a Mega. Like I'm wondering if that's what's happened. I'm probably wrong. It could just be like he's not the Mon of the Week, or he's like a lackey of the Mon of the Week. And very much so if it is an evolution episode, I'm like, it'd be weird if it was just a perfect. So, but yeah, those are my predictions anyway. Alright everyone, so thanks for listening to another episode of LostinTranslationmon. You can find a link dump in the description, and you can contact us and stay updated. You can leave us a comment on this episode on YouTube to join in on the conversation, and for a full list of ways to find the podcast across the internet, such as YouTube, TikTok, Twitch and Twitter, head over to Linktree, linktr.ee/LostinTranslationmon. And it's linked in Twitter. Elon Musk tried to ban Linktrees. Everyone was like, why? And then he was like, okay, Linktrees are allowed now. It's okay. So that was a wild 12 hours, or less than 12 hours, when Linktree was illegal on Twitter. It was a time. Twitter's fine at the moment, by the way.
Doesn't seem like it.
No, it's definitely not. It's a very weird, like, every day it's like it's a new thing. Like, Twitter just the other day just wasn't loading for anybody in Australia across all devices. So it's fine, really. That might have been a Cloudflare issue, but it definitely was interesting that it seemed to be just Twitter. Anyway, so if you enjoy the podcast or videos, or even my silly posts online, you can show your support by signing up on Patreon and get some cool rewards and help us hit milestones. And thank you to our current supporters on Patreon: Stephen Reeves, who is Wawan on Archive Our Own, Kadawashi, Chisai, who can follow at Twitter at Chisai236, Neobu, who says you should follow Chisai on Twitter at Chisai236, Lizmet, who is Lekmon on Tumblr, Nicholas, Emery from Gone While Hunting, a Hunter Hunter Rewatch podcast, Magnus, Lucas, Jason105, Patrick, Jason, Shelby, Digital Hazard, who's on Twitch at The Digital Hazard, Alemist, Tropimon, and Vmon Tamer. You can also make on one-off that wasn't even a word, a one-off donation on PayPal, which you found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/Airdramon. You can also donate to me on my Ko-fi account, ko-fi.com/Airdra. And that's it for another week. So Quinn, anything you've been enjoying or anything lately?
Quinn isn't here, but Chloe also doesn't really have much to say.
I was thinking about, like, I was going to say, like, something involving Quinn, but then I didn't. I was like, I'll say that later. And then I just combined it, so I ended up saying, hey, Quinn, what are you doing? Sorry, Chloe.
No worries. I haven't really been up to much. I've just been watching after Yumi. Quinn's getting back tonight, so that'll be exciting. And I found some new Yuri to watch that I'm probably going to watch once we stop recording.
That's cool. I have to watch all of One Piece because I found out there's a trans man in it.
All of One Piece Air.
Yes, so now I have to watch all of it, and I don't even know if I have that much time left in my entire life.
I was going to say, this is a lifelong task, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to have to do there. I might have to, I don't know, I'll figure something out, but yeah.
There's entirely too much One Piece.
There is so much One Piece. There's
so much One Piece they really ought to call it Two Piece at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely more than One Piece at this point. It's many piece. Anyway, that was a good one.
Thank you.
So this is when I'll talk about Quinn. So Quinn will presumably be joining us next time, and we'll get her thoughts in Quinn's Quatchup. And I'm sticking with that. That's what it's called. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to write into my next segment guide, and I'll be like, that looks terrible when you don't say it.
Yeah.
But I'm keeping it in there. So, yes, Quinn will presumably be joining us next time, and will provide her thoughts for episode 58. But in any case, we will catch y'all in the next one, presumably, unless, I don't know, the rooster decides to become a Digimon and then turn me to stone or something. I don't know. I was going somewhere with that, but I lost the thought halfway through. So let's wrap up before my brain just leaks out of my nose or something. So anyway, thanks for listening, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye.